Hi, this is Kerry Artak with Wicked Stocks bringing you an update in Bitcoin. I did record this video on Monday, April 21st, 2025, early in the morning, just as the markets were beginning to open. And so this is a weekly bar chart. I'm going to show the same chart throughout the entire video. This is more of a big picture, longer term look at Bitcoin trend activity, trend identification. What's the next big move? Where are we going from here kind of thing? And, you know, I could have started with a blank chart and just shown the different line studies that I have here. Primarily is a 5-year channel top. It goes back to March of 20. You've got November of 21 high. This corresponded with the high and low in the stock market. 1-year bear market in the stock market was also a big 1-year bear market in Bitcoin that ended in November of 22. And so AB, I'll get to that in a moment. But the 5-year channel top, significant ceiling of resistance was violated back in November of last year. And it set up a target that is yet to be realized at 122,433, 122,433. And, you know, when you push through, you know, when you're in sort of uncharted territory, the highest this entity has ever been, there are very few line studies to use. I mean, you've got channel structures I could create, but they were all violated. So it really is this 5-year structure that we took out in November that told me that 122,433 is the next longer term objective. And at the way things were happening at that point in time in November, I was thinking within 2 or 3 months, possibly in a mania-driven 3 to 5 weeks. Wasn't to be. We topped out at 109, 192. That was a January high. We have fallen away since. Now, since then, we have yet to close back below this channel top, despite all the intra-week activity that we've seen since really the late February low. We have yet to close back below the 83,750 channel top. In other words, if you were a long-term holder of Bitcoin, there would have been no compelling reason, despite all the wild activity we've seen over the last 2 months, to exit a long position. You should have stayed long. If that was if you are long, you're staying long above 83,750 because over time we should see a retest of 109, 192, and over time we should ultimately yield 122,433. And by ultimately, I don't mean that will be the all-time high or anything like that. I'm just saying that is what I'm seeing with this image. We also, following the high from January, were able to construct a rising 1/3 speed line. So it looks like this speed line, or a trend line, if you want to call it that, it looks like it's moving through trade. Just know that the speed line did not exist until the high was put out in January. In other words, if you were to locate this trend line in the week of January 20th, and that is 77,987, I can tell you right now that a 1/3 pullback from this November 22 low against the January 25 high is this exact number of 77,987. So you're basically drawing a trend line from the low at the 1/3 pullback point in the time frame in which the high is made. And that is also a trend identifier, and I've liked using it because it has coincided pretty well with this channel top. And so the 1/3 speed line this week is 85,177. Now we have, over the last couple of weeks, closed just below this speed line. But if you throw in a 1% violation threshold, which I like to use on line studies that are 6 months or more, we did not enter a sell signal yet for the speed line as well. So now we're actually above it. I'm talking Monday morning, April 21st. We're above these points. You can see 86,898 is last. And unless we close this week, Friday, below 83,750, this is still an entity to own and be long. And let me cut to really this image, this last image. I'm going to show more here in a minute. I've got 3 charts, but there is this descending channel top that goes back to, you know, earlier March. So this is really kind of a 6-week structure at 86,848. And so we've got 83,750, 85, 177 that I showed here, these long-term, big picture, significant support levels that we've yet to close below, at least by a full 1% margin with respect to the speed line. We're still holding that. And now, if we close this week above 86,848, this descending 6-week channel top, I see a buy signal that should, I'm going to say with present volatility, this is a 2 to 3 month rally to 102.58. But we could also get a spike in volatility where this could be more in the order of 3 to 5 weeks. It's impossible to determine, but I'd say within 2 or 3 months or sooner, a settlement this week above 86,848 should yield 102.58, 102,058. This descending channel top able to contain monthly highs. We could fall away from here, and if settled above, would be the final indicator for me in anticipating that 122,433 as the next 2 to 3 month target. Remember that 122,433 is this AB. AB, nothing more than these significant highs and lows. So you've got the November 21 high, you've got the November of 22 low, and so the full swing. I like to use these when, once again, you're in uncharted territory where you're at all-time highs, and it's nothing more than taking this high, subtracting this low, and adding to the high. It's a full swing to the upside, a 100% swing. They work pretty well, not only as targeting mechanisms, but even as inherent resistance levels where the market could actually top out here for a period of time. Last thing I'm going to say, and that is what does not appear to be likely right now, but the week is young. And so I don't want to make any strong assumptions. Even a daily settlement this week, Monday or Tuesday, above 86,848, I don't think that is a clear-cut enough signal to act on to the upside. If you're already long, fine, hang in there. And if we close Friday above 86,848, then anyone who's not long Bitcoin, who's looking to go long Bitcoin, I think that would be a pretty decent signal into the low 100,000 area. But until then, we can fall away this week. And if we close back below this long-term channel top at 83,750, I am expecting a long-term sell signal to yield 50,384 and climbing within, this could be 3 to 5 months. This could take into later year. Either way you have it, if we close below 83,750, my Bitcoin updates will begin speaking of the low 50,000 region as a longer-term objective. Of course, on the way down, we've got this old high. A is 68,964, and you also have a 3/8 downside Fibonacci from the November 22 low against the January 22 high of 73,396. We came very close to testing this a few weeks ago. This is a zone that can absorb selling on a weekly, possibly monthly basis. And so just know that, and I've said that before, but long term, if we do close this week Friday, and that would be Friday, April 25th, below 83,750, I see no compelling reason to stay long Bitcoin if your time horizon is essentially through the rest of the year, because I see the low 50,000s as a likely outcome. And I'm going to leave it at that for this particular Wicked Stocks update on Bitcoin. You have a great day.